artists that influenced me as I was growing up as a teenager and learning how to play guitar, you know, so, you know, and I never took a guitar lesson. So, you know, guys like Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Jimi Hendrix, Pete Townsend, the list it goes on and on and on. I was at Led Zeppelin's first New York appearance at the Fillmore East. They were opening up for Iron Butterfly. I was, I think, 17 years old, 16 or 17. And after the Led Zeppelin went off, half the people left the Fillmore East. I felt so sorry for embarrassed for the headliner, because I mean, who, you know, people usually come to see the headliner, not the opening act. But, you know, I think there was a real buzz in New York City about this new band Led Zeppelin, and the word was out, and the Fillmore East isn't that big a venue. So I think I noticed when I looked around, there was a lot of older people there, well-dressed. It wasn't the normal rock and roll crowd. So I think there was a lot of record executives and people in the music business that came to see them.
I'm Katie Daryl. He is Ace Frehley of KISS. What can you show us today?
Well, this is my favorite Les Paul, and this is an exact copy of my 1959 Les Paul that I bought.
Oh, can you hold it up a little bit higher for us?
And this one was made by the Custom Shop by Gibson Custom Shop. And if you look at it, you can see that it's aged. And they aged the guitars, and they, you know, they make everything's nickel silver, but it looks old.
Right.
You know, if you look at the back, you see scratches here.
And is this your favorite guitar?
Well, they gave me 12.
Woo!
I came home. I was in Vegas with my girlfriend, and we came home, and there was 12 Les Pauls in my lobby of our penthouse, and I opened them up, and I lined them all up and took pictures of them.
Wow!
And I played them all, and this was the best sounding one. So you know, a lot of the, you know, I sold a bunch of them. You know, people give me $50,000 a piece for them. You know.
Wow!
I just sold the guitar the other day. And I took the money, and I'm buying a Jaguar, and I'm going to Kentucky this weekend to pick it up. You know, I mean, you know, I have like 75 guitars. So, I mean, you know, one guitar less here or there. If you know, what would you rather have? You know, a double neck or a Jaguar XK 2015, which is the last year they made it in mint condition.
Well, it's funny, I did an interview like this with Bruce Kulick, and he had all his guitars laid out, and it was like a maze. I mean, truly, there were so many. He was stepping over them. I mean, there's an abundance of guitar wealth in his house.
Yeah, I used to have 150. That was about my limit. And then when I left KISS, I sold a lot of them because you know, there were some lean years there before I started touring and put together Frehley's Comet. But, you know, right now I have about 75, and
hey,
but there's about...
That's about 74 more than me, but all right, let's continue.
There's about 10 that I use, you know, you know, repeatedly, you know, I use for recording, my favorites.
Sure. The sound you can trust, right?
Yeah. Wow.
I'd also like to ask you about some rock and roll firsts, if you don't mind. In terms of when it came to KISS, what was the first time you ever heard your song on the radio?
Well, when the first album came out, I remember driving in the Bronx on the Grand Concourse in my friend's GTO, and one of our songs came on the radio, and it was just like, wow. I got so excited. I remember going to Alexander's on Fordham Road in the Bronx and buying my album and looking at it going, wow, my album's actually in the bin. I've made it, you know?
And what about, you know, there's so much memorabilia with your face on it, and I'm sure you've been given so much, but there's a lot of illegal stuff and a lot of things that you didn't even know existed. What was the first piece of memorabilia with your face on it that you personally purchased, said, oh, I need that?
I never had to purchase our memorabilia. It was always given to me. I have boxes and boxes filled with memorabilia. You know, but I mean, one of the reasons I left the group, I mean, there were several reasons I left KISS in 1981. But one of the reasons was the fact that I really think Gene got carried away with the merchandising, and it kind of took away from the music, you know. I remember my manager, Bill O'Coin, after a while saying to me, because, you know, we had the dolls and we had all these toys, and our audience started getting younger and parents started bringing their kids. And Bill O'Coin said to me, Ace, cool it with the cursing, because there's like young kids in the front row.
Like that's it's rock and roll, bro.
I had to curtail my personality.
So here
We were making a ton of money, but you know, money isn't everything in life.
No. So here on Access TV, we have a show that I host called the Top 10 Revealed. Each week we look at a different list and count down songs on it. So it could be top 10 songs about going crazy, or top 10 70s breakup songs. And we have a list coming up this season, and it's top 10 destination songs. And no surprise, Detroit Rock City makes the list. You know, what's the story behind this song and your relationship with Detroit?
Well, a lot of people in the early days used to think we were a Detroit band because we were headlining Cobo Hall, which is a 12,000 seat auditorium. And at that point in time, we were still playing in New York and California, 25 to 3,000 seat theaters. So, you know, a lot of people's mindset was saying these guys must be from Detroit because they're headlining in Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, we spent a lot of time in Detroit because Detroit is centrally located in the United States. And we kind of used to base out of Detroit when we were touring. So
it is a classic song. The guitar solo is epic in it. The love for Detroit can be heard in it. People really, you know, grasp onto it. So now going back to the original question of, you know, let's talk about other songs that have cities or state in it. Let me just ask you, which do you prefer if you had to pick? Do you like London Calling by The Clash, or do you like Africa by Toto? Which do you like more?
I like Kansas by Toto.